Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today we'll be covering Conan the Barbarian number 98, published in 1979 by Marvel Comics. We have a wonderful John Buscema, Bob McLeod cover here. Sea Witch, is she maid or monster? Conan must find out or die. Great cover. Love the briny green of the water and the shark's fin with this lurid sea witch or siren or nymph or whatever she is here menacing Conan. Just a really cool and evocative cover. Let's dive in and see what we've got here. The title is Sea Woman, and our creative crew for this issue: Roy Thomas, writer-editor; John Buscema and Ernie Chan, illustrators; George Roussos, colorist; Joe Rosen, letterer; Jim Shooter, consulting editor. Just after dawn upon the western ocean. Amra, look you to starboard, and tell Ajonga his eyes are deceiving him. Eh? Now what kind of cry is that from a lookout corsair? If there's a merchant ship ripe for looting, just say so. Holy Mother of Mitra. Featuring the characters and concepts created by Robert E. Howard. Poem, Sea Woman, copyright 1970 by Glenn Lord. So we have four great panels here of some close-ups on some character reactions to what we're about to see. In a moment, all eyes of those aboard the sea-roving Tigress are turned in the direction indicated by Jonga's shout. So those of Belit, Shemitish-born captain of the pirate vessel; of Magora, first of her black corsair sub-chiefs; of Nayaga, the old shaman who is Belit's mentor; and of course, those of Conan, also called Amra. And that which they now behold leaves them each speechless for a long, lingering moment. A woman, azure of flesh, and with free-flowing hair the color of some radiant type of seaweed. A woman young and fair of face and form, who must by all rights have been lost off some tempest-tossed and pirate-sunk ship, yet who stands silent and nearly unmoving as a statue atop what seems a huge bobbing lily pad, a thing which seems a poor lifeboat indeed. I'll have to tender my apologies to our hawk-eyed lookout, it seems. Small wonder he thought his eyes played tricks on him. Perhaps the tropical sun has got to all of us, for surely the sheer motion of the waves would toss the woman to her knees. Yet she stands. I say she's some kind of sea witch, and I say we let her be, Belit says. Nor is it merely her usual possessive, jealous spirit which spurs Belit's thoughts. Already, she has gauged the effect of the sight of the strange female has on her corsairs, who have been long, for the most part, without the company of women. Likewise, Belit holds to the sailor's commonplace that it is bad fortune to have a woman aboard ship, always excluding herself, of course. Still, it takes but one man to dissuade her from passing the apparent castaway by. I beg you, bring her aboard, goddess. I promise you, I would know if she meant evil, and all my instincts tell me she does not. So that is Nayaga, the shaman. He's convincing Belit to relent and bring this woman aboard. Meanwhile, she appears to be menaced by a great shark that is approaching her. For long seconds, she seems not to notice it as she gazes ahead at the drifting tigress. Then, slowly, turning her gray-blue face toward it, she opens her mouth wide, though if she utters a sound, those watching do not hear it. At what seems the last possible instant, the shark fin veers away from the gently bobbing pad, soon disappearing underwater to be seen no more. So, this strange, bewitching woman seems to possess some kind of ability to affect the shark, and it turns away here in a gorgeous panel from Buscema and Chan. Chan is not my favorite John Buscema inker. He's got a very heavy line, and it's very noticeable as Ernie Chan as soon as you open the book without even looking at the credits. But the two are undeniably an awesome combination, and did many, many dozens of Conan stories together. And it works. It's really, really good. I just like the softer lines of Rudy Nebres or Bob Camp or Alfredo Alcala, Armando Gil. I really feel like they let Buscema's pencils breathe a little more. But let's continue with our story. So Nayaga becomes ill once they bring the woman aboard. I'm having difficulty thinking, daughter of Decarta. Eh? What's wrong, my mentor? A recurrence of your recent illness, perhaps, or else the strain of all this. I'll take to my quarters a while. So their magical advisor and shaman leaves them to go below. Belit's thoughts are interrupted as the aged witch doctor vanishes below decks, and the girl abruptly rises up with renewed vigor. She opens her lips, Conan says, but no words come out. She is a mute, perhaps, or perhaps simply accustomed to not having to speak to get what she wants. Woman, if Crom, king of gods, had a mate like you, he'd not dare look at a female rodent for fear of rousing her jealousy. There is no rodent before us, and may I remind you, my love, the last woman we took on board returned out to be ruler of Stygia and tried to have us fed to her pet serpents. True enough. That's referencing a story that took place a few issues ago. But that creature had to return to the ocean's depths by dawn, while this delicate appearing wench scarcely shuns the light of day. So this caption is referring to a previous experience with a sea witch that Conan had that was not positive. Nor, increasingly, do the Corsairs shun her. So the Corsairs are extremely attracted to this spectral presence of this woman, and Belit recognizes it, and he knows they need to have activity or else things are going to get rough. We're still a pirate ship, not a service for cast-offs. You heard the daughter of Derketa, lackeys. The last man to return to his post will go to his cot unfed this night. Next morning, there was little time for any to moon over a strange and silent female, as a Stygian merchant vessel is sighted. And though manned by not a few dusky-skinned warriors, it proves no match for the men of the Tigris, who swiftly overpower them and send both seamen and ship to the bottom. Even with her throne re-won and given away, Belit has scant love for the land of snake worshippers and sorcerers. The Stygian turns out to have been a rich ship for all its meager defenses and great loot thereof. This is an awesome panel at the bottom of page 7 here. I don't know how much of the Conan comic strip, which ran during this time for a few years, Buscema did. I think it was mostly done by Chan, and we'll see confirmation of that in our letters page here in a few pages. But this proves what an amazing comic strip artist Buscema could be, because in this one panel here, we have a whole story told. And this looks a lot like a lot of the Prince Valiant panels I've been looking at, sort of in a kind of almost a montage of events that tell a collected story. And it's very, very cool by Buscema here. Excellent work. You see the battle, the looting, the burning of the Stygian ship in the sea. Very cool. So here, Batumi takes some of his loot and tries to give it to the siren, the sea witch. She accepts it, but then she immediately turns and tries to give it to Conan, who isn't having any of it. I hope I don't offend you, since you don't seem to know any tongue I speak, but no thanks. Whether she comprehends or not, Conan could not say, Still, as she returns to the men of the southern isles, Conan sees the dark rage seething behind his mate's obsidian eyes, and figures he may just have saved the girl's life. So she's still sort of bewitching Batumi here. But the main first mate, I believe his name is Megara. Let me just check to be sure. Flip back here. Yeah, Megara. Megara says, "By a juju, our goddess captain gives you a few baubles, and they go at once to your heads. Back to your posts, before I string you up with your purloined jewels." So later that night, everyone's asleep, but Conan is somehow bestirred from his slumber and goes on deck to stroll around, and he finds the sea witch. The slightest noise brings him back to pantherish alertness. "Eh? So it's you, eh, girl? I'll say this, your skin looks more natural in the moonlight than ever under the sun. But what are you above decks this time of night?" "You should be." Then the girl parts her purple lips once more. And though he hears no sound, it is as if a sensuous, lustful symphony suddenly sets his brain afire. So she is bewitching Conan, but somehow he resists. Though they have not so much as touched, it takes a tigerish effort for Conan to tear himself away from his intense gaze. So he immediately gets out of there, goes back to the cabin, and finds Belit and, "Don't talk, woman. Just this once. Don't talk." And she doesn't. So he takes his misplaced passion and puts it in the right place with Belit. Meanwhile, a restless Batumi has risen from his sleepless cot, for it has suddenly occurred to him that a walk above decks would do him good. "Girl, I had hoped you would be." Yet a third time, the girl from the sea opens her mouth, and Batumi does not speak again. Next morning. "Goddess, Amra, Batumi is missing." "What? Are you sure, man?" "Aye, we found one of his earrings by this railing. He must have fallen overboard in the night." Yes, I guess he must have. And there are others I'd toss over as well, if I felt the Corsairs would stand for it. From now on, Megara, I want no man walking this deck alone, or any woman either." So to further keep them busy, since they have no ships to raid, they practice and do some martial training on deck. That night, in the cabin of the ailing shaman, the Yaga? "Oh, my dearest Wilda, your lips are as the honey the bees make, and He is dreaming of his youth, such dreams as have not come to him in many, many a day. For hours, Belit keeps silent vigil by her aged mentor's side. All that is good or wise or gentle in her nature, she knows she owes to this now frail old man who works mighty juju, yet now murmurs of long-lost love and uneasy sleep. Meanwhile, above, Asambi, another crewman, is lured onto deck with the sea witch. And here again, she opens her mouth. It is as if she sings a song, which none but one may hear each time it's sung. A song too lovely, too deep for words or music. Like a man entranced, Asambi sees nothing but her, and becomes for the moment as much a mute as she. So she then dives into the water, and he follows her. Look at that, just beautiful body in motion drawn by Buscema and Chan here. Buscema was just such a master of action, and it's almost as if this was a picture of some well-muscled dude diving into the ocean, but it's just really well drawn. Still, there is one who watches from light, drinking shadows. As the black corsair swims with mechanical, awkward, yet somehow powerful strokes out toward the wave-riding vision, some yards from the gentle, bobbing ship. When he reaches her, she bends down ever so slowly from her watery throne to kiss him. For long seconds, it seems just a kiss. So this is not going to end well. And we'll take a quick break from the story to take a look at the Hyborian page, which offers two letters, and then this from the editorial team, this call to action for folks to write their local newspapers if they're not carrying the Conan comic strip and ask them to carry it, or if they are carrying it, to write and thank them for carrying it. And they have a cool sample of the comic strip that's done by Roy Thomas, our writer for this issue and long-running writer of the series, and Ernie Chan, the inker here, who is an accomplished penciler himself. So he's doing pencils and inks on this strip. So very cool. Neat of them to reprint this here. Back to our story. Then suddenly, Asami's eyes open wide in shock of recognition of stark fear and naked terror. For though his head is still above the water's surface, the woman's kiss seems to engulf him as if he were below it. Realizing his danger at last, he struggles to tear himself free. After a minute, his struggles cease, and there is only a floating ebon corpse, drowned before ever it passes fully beneath the surface. So she is truly a menace. It's revealed here. If you didn't know before, now you know. Now, finally, Conan snaps himself out of his own special trance. Witch, I know you now for what you are. Just another variant of the sea vampires I have met before. By Crom, I'll rouse my men, and will pepper the sea with spears until we... But here she opens her mouth again, and finally we get to hear what she is saying. And this is the Glen Lord poem that was hinted at in the titles page. The wild sea is beating against the gray sands. The woman, the sea woman, stretches her hands. Her eyes, they are mystic and cold as the sea. With slender white fingers, she beckons to me. There are woods in the sea, though the leaves are all gray. The ocean's pale roses lift dim in the spray. I follow, the gray seagull flies. Ah, woman, sea woman, there's death in your eyes. Really cool, great. Kind of almost like a Samuel Taylor Coleridge rhyme of the Ancient Mariner vibe from that one, but very cool. And the art accompanying it is just gorgeous. Conan, dagger in his teeth, dives into the water, swimming with purpose toward her, but then suddenly becoming fully ensorcelled by her. Yet, though his dagger is poised to strike as Conan draws near her, it's not really in her sea-green eyes the danger lies, but in that kiss which drowns both body and soul. As they embrace, he sees himself as he has been in times past. Gorgeous montage of Conan's past here. Roistering, roaring, wenching, locked in grim battle with dusky sorcerers and deadly serpents, and with the armies of many a nation, west and east. He beholds a woman, red-haired, but he can place no name with it. He sees darker hair and eyes the color of night, but he cannot quite remember her name either. No, not quite. What is it then that suddenly brings Belit racing from the Yaga's side onto the deck? Conan, she says. Several black corsairs swiftly join her, roused by the sound of her voice. Still, it is she who first beholds the dread tableau, so near and yet a universe away. Conan! The sound of that voice he knows so well brings him partway back from the cloughing, watery void he seemed about to enter, but only part way. Belit, in Mitra's name, keep calling me. The girl holds him, and her grip is strong, though without apparent effort. But the queen of the Black Coast hears that faint, faraway cry. Yes, I'll call you, Conan. Come to me, Conan of Samaria. Come to Belit, who loves you. Forgotten now are the myths of Amra, the Lion Man, as she calls out not to her right hand, but to her heart. Conan, don't leave me. My Conan, I won't. I swear to Crom. Somehow, the girl's hold seems weaker now, failing with each desperate outcry from the Shemitish pirate. though he wishes he could stab her as he pulls her roughly off her watery perch. I won't. So he's got a hold of her by the hair now, and he's going to drag her back to the tigress with him. He can't. Well, girl, or thing from hell, if I can't slay you as you deserve, Milady Belit will hardly be so squeamish. Nagora, Ajanga, don't just stand there as if hypnotized. Get a line to toss him, that he may be hauled aboard. Then, as her men race to do her bidding, her call floats once more over the somber waves, which seem somehow to churn more than before, as if in unholy agitation. Once, twice, perhaps Conan hesitates, but always he continues on again, toward the sound of Belit's voice, till, at length, it leads him up a rope, hurled over the ship's dark side. Fantastic figure work of here, Conan clawing his way back aboard the Tigress. Is just the musculature and the way Buscema and Chan bring it out is just very, so impressive. Yet as he pulls himself and his weird prize aboard, well, what's wrong? What are you all gaping at? Surely you're used by now to the sight of a blue-skinned girl. Great shot of them all looking gobsmacked. Seaweed. His hand, which never relinquished its steely grasp on the sea woman's hair, now holds only seaweed. Looking out across the ocean, he seems to hear her silent song again. There are woods in the sea, though all the leaves are gray. Then, a soft hand upon his shoulder, and the voice is heard no more, either within or without his brain. Conan, my lover. No, not just your lover, Belit, but your love. And the tigress sails on like a vagrant wind. Next issue, the crab things that walk like men. What a brilliant last page and last two panels here in this story. Just so tender and sad, and we know what's coming here. If you're a fan of Conan, you know what's coming. This is issue 98, 99, and then 100, lead up to the tragic parting of Conan and Belit. And really sad and impactful stories and great artwork and writing. Just a total masterpiece of barbarian comic fiction here. If you enjoyed this issue, please like and subscribe, and I will surely bring you more later on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.